Starfleet Academy, Season 1, Episode 3. Oh my God, you all were right. It is a show about college pranksters. Well, very smart pranksters. Of all ages. Hey, it is Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland and letting the dust settle just a bit on all the recent Trek headlines and episodes. So, hey, instead of just another hot take or a quick take, you get a second opinion from Dr. Trek. Hey, look, I have been writing, editing, interviewing, witnessing, hosting, archiving, commenting, dot connecting, and yes, fanning Star Trek for a while now. And I just want to say, 90210, One Tree Hill, Dawson's Creek, Hogwarts? Oh, nope. This is Star Trek Bring It On, with a side vibe of Pitch Perfect. And maybe just a little Ocean's 11 on top, yeah, with a cool jazz soundtrack. And the editing, Vitus Reflux, or from the Latin, Life in Reverse, or even Life Regurgitated. Although the whole thing took me back to junior high in that worst case of violent dodgeball, slaughterball, with a Kobayashi Maru of strategy options. But before we go any further, I had 2 points that were squeezed out of last week's doubleheader marathon here, okay, from episode 101 and 102. Because after all the Vulcan and Betazoid empaths and telepaths that we've seen over the years, from Spock to Deanna and so many in between, the idea that Terima, our Betazoid Gazette, has extremely powerful psychic abilities and she has to use a neural inhibitor to avoid accidentally hurting someone in a surge? Well, that's a sight beyond Ilea's oath of celibacy. I think we're going to hear more about that. And even so, I've heard no one else mention this. The opening vibes, the first 8 notes, 2 bars of the soundtrack under the titles, the main title, those are the exact notes of the love theme from the motion picture. You know, Ilea's theme? A Star Out of Time, according to the lyrics that you've never heard. I mean, I literally was hearing that and wondering, are they just going to lift the Ilea's theme, as they did with the main title from Motion Picture? And then it took off. It was an interesting choice. Much less the opening title's choice. Replanting a seed? The seed of nurturing youth? Of restarting civilization after the burn? Unusual for a Star Trek, but of all these modern titles vibes, this is the one I actually get. Then getting from there to here. One more point. No, seriously. There is so much that I pointed out as oddly visually spotlighted for no apparent reason, right? Our Northern Romulan War College cadet, the adjoining Vulcan, and those so many already non-speaking but out front and center atmosphere cadets. And that huge red triangular Calica Club's day sign. What did it all mean? It looked like it had something to do with something, nothing relevant in those episodes. Aha! Now we know. There was method to the madness, as I suspected. So buckle up here, because hey, despite the doomsday chasing clickbait talkers out there, the legit critics and more of our laid-back armchair fandoms, the great majority, who don't even know what a popcorn meter is, they are finding and enjoying the show. With questions and concerns, sure, but hey, the plan seems to be working so far. So, that means, for this week, kudos, yes, our co-writers, Alex Taub, who is another veteran showrunner, and most recently, another one of the veterans here on this staff who work with E.P. Noga Landau on her 4-year Nancy Drew series. Then her co-writer this week, on the other end of the industry experience scale, but not with Star Trek, oh no. Kylie Rossiter was famously, as she told me, on hand as the scribe, the third person in the room, when Brian Fuller and Alex Kurtzman first sat down to begin taking notes and brainstorming about what would become Star Trek Discovery. So, she's dived in ever since, Alex's writer's assistant, all the way up through with the rooms. She went on staff with Picard. She had 2 solo writing credits there or shared, and now she's on staff here as executive story editor. She was also who the Kylie civilization in the pilot of Strange New World was named for. And in the director's chair this week, another name you're going to find familiar, our director, Doug Arnikoski. He had been the supervising director / producer over on Picard for its entire run. He had a directing credit on a short Trek as well, among all of his 11 directing credits in Trek prior to this one. Okay, little things, big things. Little thing, I had to smile when this episode unfolded and we got Darum's letter format narrative. I mean, it took me all the way back to Data writing to Bruce Maddox, and then Phlox writing to Dr. Jeremy Lucas, his friend. And I would even put Sisko's infamously deleted personal log in there as a runner-up. Yeah. Okay, and all those logs Boimler would record, plot-worthy or not. Meanwhile, the opening credits, just like Disco, are fluid. Notice that the Doctor is not in this episode, and Robert Picardo is not credited. Big thing! So, we have a new Just Add Water instant Star Trek game legend. Don't worry, Starfleet Academy has a Parisi Square team too. No. This is called, and now we know what it's all about, Calica. Yeah, gotta be a story behind that name. But for now, it's a hell of a lot easier to produce on camera than Parisi Squares ever was. Thank you, Lower Decks Animation, finally. And apparently, it's pretty well widespread here, at least in the post-burn era. There are lots of teams all over, right? Darum is captain of the Keonian All-Planet Under-18 League. And Genesis was the captain of the Interbase Youth League for 5 years. Now, is that our first actual Darsha reference? I mean, we don't know if her Admiral Dad was part of Starfleet or Darsha yet, do we? Or is it Interbase as in beyond her planet, even across Starfleet? Okay, texture. Except it's just a paintball field with high-tech penalty kill box. Lura says it's about strategy, skill, and teamwork. 8 players plus an alternate plus a mascot, 10 on a team. But is there a strategy other than just broad strokes? It's definitely a game of skill, not a sport with plays and defenses as such. But it is good training for the chaos of combat, yes. Just seems to be an odd thing to have letter jackets for. But I guess those too are part of this Millennium Wave retro fad sweeping language and culture in 3192, including chewing gum. That's my headcanon, and I'm sticking with it for now. By the way, all those Calica armor chest plates for the team and for those auditioning should mean it's coming back. Big investment. Don't waste it. Oh, and that Magato we saw in previews that terrorized the cranky-dank clickbait fiends with too little imagination to span 800 years. Turns out it's just the Magato mascot costume. Little thing. Did you notice? Dot 57? What is this, 32nd century inflation? No. He's hit on the head. Ow! I don't know why. These dots of Academy, they just fascinate me as a detail that the creators are just determined to hammer home. I guess after the way they were unused, century-setting eye candy back on Discovery, I appreciate that something seems to be afoot with them to really make them a grounded part of the story, if not a big plot point at some point. And now we even have War College dots who dress in black, appropriately, and know phrases like bands of steel. Big thing. In the gym, I did a flash count and basically could point to, visually, 36 bodies, all but one of them a cadet. Extras? almost all of them non-speaking roles. Now, look, we know this is not the entire Starfleet Academy student body. We've seen more in the group speeches and the very delicate but public diplomatic summit audience. By the way, co-ed showers have been a thing since the Cerritos days on lower decks, so don't get your panties in a wad. Little thing, we had another flip-off from a Romulan. That makes 2 or 3 for this series, depending if you count occasions or fingers individually. This series now has the highest middle-digit flip count per Star Trek series of all time. Did you realize? Yes. Well, it's ahead of Star Trek IV, and he was a historical civilian, and even Lower Deck's big Mariner moment. Little thing, Vitus reflux. Mentioned the Latin ahead, but here, in real life, we find it's known as the empathy flower. Although it's not actually a flower, it's a fungus. Really? Well, it's the most flowery fungus I've ever seen in any millennia. But the deal is, it's a Starfleet-protected species? Does Starfleet have a strategic need to protect species? Is Starfleet science now handling eco-regulations over the Federation's civilian bureaus? Yeah, anyway, Ake says disturbing the plant before adulthood is a crime. I thought it was a fungus. I'm so confused. But could it possibly be the best Star Trek flower fungus since Beauregard? But I still have questions. So when Genesis shoots at the replicators, that gaming phaser meant to just beam players out to the casualty box, is it actually beaming components that then disable the replication systems and they spark big and pretty? Okay. French-Klingon fusion sounds cool, if not bloody. But do future replicators of the 32nd century really need more than just a simple verbal or a manual code input, the way we've always seen them centuries past, to get a turducken done in a few seconds? Oh, I am sure there is a future tech regression complexity reason why this is so difficult that it threatens a marriage. And where can you buy those Warp Core PJs? Oh, favorite lines? Okay, runners up. Next station, Romeo. Sees all. Reno apparently loves to use the phrase, losers plucked out by a baby Gorn. So, the Gorn are still a known thing, but enough so that they can be kidded about? Gotta mention it. Sarcastic Ake, triumphant Ake. My 12's a 6, if you're 6 to 12. You know this is coming. If they shenan once, they'll shenan again. Oh, someone's been sitting on that one for years. But most of all, Captain Ake, extolling how patience and empathy are strategies and must be the primary tools for, say, ending war, because leading through fear alone makes that impossible. Cast and characters. Yes, not quite the cast of thousands it felt like we had to wade through in episode 1, the pilot. All that exposition, all those people to meet, the faces to see. But look what we have here. Episode 3, yes. Durham's unnamed but cast-listed posse are back, as are, yes, all the Dots voices. Check them out. Always read the credits. But who's not getting credited in the end credits? Oh, it's all the regular extras in atmosphere that we're already recognizing. I didn't even realize when I pointed them out in those first episodes that most of them are going to show up on the Calica team. Now look, we've not only got Cadet Mickey Dolenz, Touslehad, and the female blue cadet with the long hair, the cadet with the bun. They're all turning over, but hey, Cadet Mickey Dolenz even gets a beam out kill in Calica. I wish I didn't have to keep using these awkward handles to talk about these guys. They're going to be around. Oh, hark! Yet there is a crack in the dam holding back this puzzle solution. That audition scoreboard has cadet names both known and unknown. Did you see, including a shout out to our director this week, Doug Arnikoski? But who is who? Oh, look, if these are the Academy team's top scorers through the auditions for the team, and there's 10 on a team, then you would think, with 11 names here, everybody but one made it on. But who is Cates and Chung and Elome and Flathow and Trench? Which is which? And then, is it Arnikoski who is going to turn down the mascot role so that Oakham gets a bumped up one? Yeah, I hope as time goes by, we can figure out who's who. I'm going to leave it in the capable hands of the graphics team to unroll it. It's already been done. They shot these episodes over a year ago. We'll see what happens. And yes, that gang I called out in episode 1, featured for no apparent reason, also turn out to be the War College Calica Stars. Did you read the final credits? Or even the closed captions? We've got DeZolo, who is the Northern Romulan. Cecilia Lee, credited last episode and this one. Yeah, the spitting, biting Capellan power cat of her tribe. But then you're worried about Jem'Hadar breeding freely and brown-eyed Beta Zeds? And here we've got a Vulcan male name starting with B? Whatever will this 800-year gap turn up next? Well, what I do know, because I read the end credits, is that is Ba'avi. And look, if you have a problem with this slightly tweaked Vulcan, a little on the aggressive side, may I remind you of everyone from baseball-playing Captain Solok to all those Vulcan classmates who conveniently forgot their IDIC lessons and bullied young Spock. And thanks to Bella Shepard's recent Instagram boosting of actor Alexander Ealing's informal set snaps while he's adorned in his new Vulcan digs, people are remembering exactly how a young, hot Vulcan actor could kickstart Uber fanfiction and Trek's resurrection in the first place. And then there's Kyle. Actor Dale Wibley, welcome to Trek. Now, is Kyle going to be the War College equivalent of Occam? Or even Jay Den? Keep an eye on this guy. He's going to sneak up on us. Meanwhile, we are seeing Commander Kelrek, actor Raul Benea, coming into his own here. A ramrod, but with a tea fetish. That's so well written. And Raul is playing it just right. Look, his arrogance, his confidence, it's not so absolute that he ever goes cartoonish. And he can accept cooperation while having his assumptions overturned. Yes, he can grow. Or did you do this math? If Ake is 422, and she specifically does the math and tells Kelrek she is 352 years older, then is he 70? Well, maybe he's looking 70 in a century when lifespans could already have been 140 or more a millennia ago. And by the way, he is a commander, repeated all the time. So why does Captain Ake not just outrank him? His tab ranks show 4 dots too, not just 3. I mean, maybe he's got some kind of equal nation status as a co-equal head of a co-equal school, as long as they're not facing each other, each sitting on their own bridge. Oh, and I did mention Occam already. Occam Sadal, Talima's brother. Yes. Actor Romeo Carrere, and apparently the freakazoid of the dorms. Perfect mascot material. Oh, and then Jaden. Karim Nadier. Oh, look, he's only had splinter moments so far, but that comedy commentary of his fellows in the gang, when he's giving them little judgments, little one-liners, droll and deep. Oh, it's unexpected, and it's unique, and it's welcome, at least to me. I mean, so far, he just might be my favorite cadet of the gang. I know it's early, but maybe it's just his mystique. But in a century that's been turned upside down from all that we knew prior, Jaden is just so damn intriguing. Even apart from his programmable biomimetic gel demo. It's another 32nd Century update. Yay! Now, Sam, Carice Brooks, doesn't have a lot to do here. It's a light show for her, apart from a quip here and there. And, well, that very goat to hero moment on the Calica field. And I mean, old school goat. You know, basic, non-acronymical, Charlie Brown style goat. And then Durham. Durham Ramey, George Hawkins may just have the toughest of the cadets to play here. Yeah, he's the son of a wealthy guy. He trains maniacally. He writes home maniacally. He looks for his non-existent replies from said family maniacally. And he likes egg protein smoothies in the morning before those maniacal workouts and routines. He plays the balaclavian. It's a Bajoran instrument, which is noted as being difficult to master. And his one little missed note. At 6, he had an appendectomy, even with that silver scaly skin. And we find out that Koinians have multiple appendixes. And apparently they can be bisexually polyamorous. But I'm still waiting to see if that hairless gray appearance is the norm with this human seeming and affectation that's maintained at little cost or high cost or what the deal is. It's a wrinkle that we're still waiting to see and not be lulled in by the fact that he apparently presents human 99.9% of the time. And Durham, to his credit, in the end, is not so driven or deluded enough to not see the truth of things, even through his daddy issues. And then there's Genesis. Oh, is backstory information Genesis forbidden? Sorry, I couldn't resist. Bella Shepherd is doing great with this. I think people are becoming to really like the character, the Admiral's daughter. I mean, there's talk about the command vibe, but she just seems blessed with it, especially after the events of this episode that she handled so adroitly. And yes, we're still waiting to know what is her arc. Where is she going? It's all still out there. I mean, everything that we've seen about her is all in the here and now. And yeah, I look forward to digging deeper with her. Finally, what is it about Darshaw's that's so Darshawian? Now, with Terima, Zoe Steiner again, the dynamic with Caleb, it isn't going away, and it's going somewhere. But you know what? Her arc is sketched out here. She sees the War College. We know her choice. It's the best way to get more self-control, to learn self-control. As a teacher for her fears about her hyper betazoid psionics. I mean, hopefully along the way, we'll find out where she took time out to take the Harlem Globetrotters youth camp of seriously wacky shooting. For all the hoo-ha about not wearing black contacts, they light her. Most of the time, it looks like her eyes are very, very dark. It's only in those close-ups and certain lighting that you can see a brown tinge. Maybe she couldn't deal with black contacts. Maybe they didn't think it was important enough to CGI. Or maybe it's another one of those 800-year gap things. We will see. Now, Caleb, Mr. Mir, his dynamic with both Ake and Terima is hitting a new gear already, but it still has a long way to go. His chancellor is a master at teaching self-realization, don't you think? And there is the first glimmer of hope that his lone wolf avatar might actually be on the endangered species list someday. So, for now, the guy that was so violently reactive that there are fans I know turned off the show during that shuttle fight, before he got here, he's once again calmed down. He's once again finding a way to calm down the Furies. And yes, put on the letter jacket of a team. By the way, is his uniform stripe gray for being undeclared? And then Jet Reno? Wow. Well, that was more than getting her birth year. I mean, who saw that coming? Unless you caught her interview with Gina Shiri, Laura, a couple of days ago, before the episode dropped. Yeah. And now we know why she left Discovery. For better residuals and a better contract. But also why we'll be seeing those two side by side so often, not just as a convenience of paying them both on the same day, right? They'll always be walking in, apparently, when the cadet tomfoolery is afoot. Like, I don't know. Like they're the Bob and Emily of Starfleet Academy. Google. Hi, Bob. And then her other half, Laura, good old Gina Yashiri, yes, she meditates. She's a foodie of many cultures. And look, she is not going to be yelling 24/7 like an old school Marine drill sergeant. She's going to be figuring out her post-war college role, where she presumably has been until now, or a couple of years ago. She looks to be fitting into a new kind of yin-yang relationship now with Chancellor Ake as they learn each other's rhythms and language and vibe. And apparently it's a path she's already taken with Professor Commander Reno as well, although on the personal side. I mean, who saw that coming? But here we are. I sense a mellowing a bit, but not too much. I think neither Jet nor Captain Ake would want that. And she does not seem to be harming her cadets' little fifis. And then, yes, Nala, Captain Ake. Holly continues to be amazing. But look, the whole historical prank scenario unexpectedly yields us some more interesting insight here. Look, it turns out that she was at the academy sometime in the 2700s. You know, one of the cadets of the infamous entire first-year class sonic showered beam out over to Alcatraz. Now, that shenanigans happens in the 2700s. Now, per our math, remember, she's 422. You back that up from 3191. So she was born in 2769. So to be a cadet doing that, even as an upperclassman, still within the 2700s, turns out she could be up to 30 Terran solar years old. But on a lanthanite scale, what does that mean? Does she present it as a human, or whatever her other half species is, and she comes in roughly at her age 18 for reals, and just freezes in appearance? Remember, full lanthanite Pelia looked old, but not bad for 5,000. Stay tuned on this one. And yes, all you cranky clickbait chasers, this is why she goes barefooted. That math is why she lays across couches, every crazy angle, and curls up in her command chair. If this wasn't a Star Trek series, she'd be the latest quirky lead with yet another police procedural built around her. But fortunately, this being Star Trek, there'll be a lot more meat on the bones of this character, and a lot more food for thought than that. Whatever the culture, and whatever the blood sauce count. Now, as we wrap up, I want to take a moment for that memorial card that kicks off the end credits. Yes, in memory of Carla Mignardi. She was costume designer, costume cutter here on Star Trek, wardrobe crew. She'd worked on Discovery, also in series like What We Do in the Shadows and Nightmare Alley. She died on September 9th, 2024, at the age of 59. She'd worked on season 3, all but episode 10 of Strange New Worlds. She was born in Hamilton, Ontario, and her friend Jennifer Janik noted in a tribute, Carla wasn't just creative, she embodied creativity. She lived it, breathed it, and wove it into every aspect of her life. Another name to notice, the legendary Mark Okrand, creator of the grammatically and culturally sound Klingon language all the way back in Star Trek III, is again being called in with a screen credit for all things Klingonese. Or Klingon LOL, if you please. For this episode, gotta give a shout out for those tryout audition scenes for Caliga. Whatever the logic of a standardized league play event that could be. But look, it was huge with smoke and scope and, okay, 32nd century, I guess, programmable matter makes it as easy to set up all that as pulling out the rollback bleachers in a junior high gym. But with the fire effects and the stunt work and the setups for the beam outs and the beam ins, that was a crazy shoot. Hats off to Doug and the whole team. Now, Baavi was fun for this role, but in one sense, he displayed a capacity for Vulcan error. He called Starfleet Academy an experiment. But he's wrong. It's not an experiment. It's a restoration of a concept and a reality that lasted for a millennia until the hiccup of the burn less than 200 years ago. I mean, I'm surprised that a Vulcan did not know how to take the long view of things. Must be all that soft living with Romulans on Navarre. And I'm disappointed that none of our bright cadets shot that back at him. Now, I want to be honest. First viewing, as we got into this, 15, 20 minutes in, I was fearful. And I was afraid. Oh no, here it comes. The big token dip into hormonal body bearing and body bashing, the very thing all the doomsdayers have been railing about, warning about. I didn't think so, but here it is, 90210. But who could see the thing pulling an about face with that twist ending? It's all about Captain Ake. And who, to their credit, whether it was Commander Kelrick or Durham or even Lura, that we were going to see them learn and accept respectful defeat about the facts and the superior strategy. Yeah. No. This series is not a cartoon. And so far, those kinds of twists and surprises have not really even been telegraphed. So, are these 80s teen hits? Are they the heist movies? No. I'm starting to think we got the best of a songless Glee meets Welcome Back, Kotter. But now we've got to get into episode 4 and see where this is going. One more until the vaunted episode 5. Stay tuned. Oh, and one more thing. Who is Cadet Krebs? Dean of Students Stephen Colbert? And are we ever going to see him? Or his obvious namesake? Or his Talaxian fur fly? Okay, that's probably a good place to sign off on this second opinion. But what do you think, huh? Drop your comments below, of course. And please, like and subscribe, boost the signal, do all the things. Hey, I dare you to subscribe for some Star Trek sanity. Most of all, if you crave more of Dr. Trek and the Trekland point of view, I invite you. Check out everything, every Trek pod, every live stream, every experience that we do. The Trek Files, Cadet Alice and Dr. Trek Watch Prodigy. Yes, Trekland Tuesdays Live. And Portal 47, of course, and the Trekland Treks Day Tours. Hey, I even have a Cameo store. Much less a TeePublic. All of that over at LarryNemecek.com. Trek well, everyone.